my daughter. She's kind of scares me. Why do I want to pull for her now? It's possible, but it sucks. It's Christmas themed. It's festive. Well, I guess they're winding something. Whether it's yarn or thoughts is debatable. I can't knit. Maybe I should say that. Are they not actually beans? Well, those are some words. Hello, friends and gamers. Happy New Year. I'm actually technically recording this on New Year's Eve. I did get to leave work early on New Year's Eve. I have plans later. So we're gonna really quickly do RUBUSKA'S character story because RUBUSKA is daughter and I'm still trying to get her to come home. We can actually, I think, start with a poll. I think we might be 10 short, but honestly, truly at this point, I'm taking from the crystal drops. Let's see if I can do one summon to start off the video. I need RUBUSKA to come home. I need her for my blood type team. If you are new here, I've been using Balloon Party as the sustained support unit on my blood type team. And it's been really sad because daughter Balloon Party was not made for that team. I need my other daughter to come home so that Balloon Party can be given a break. I will say Balloon Party works as a fine healer support on that team if you're not doing endgame. Which I think anyone would work if you're not doing endgame. Early levels of like artificial somnambulism and stuff work fine with Balloon Party, but once you get into the higher levels, absolutely not. Free my daughter. All right, we're gonna start with a summon. I need 180, so I am gonna take from the crystal drops just because it's 10. At this point, I might end up using my crystals just because I have 13 hours and not even that. So it was Eric, okay. Can I get anything out of the shop? It's really annoying because the banner ends with the new year and it's like, I need my monthly reset. I really desperately need my monthly reset right now. I just want to see my pity record. 41, 2, 3, 43. 44, because I did one poll and it hasn't updated yet. So we're at 44. So we're like close. Also, yeah, if you were looking at the dates, that Argus was a 50-50 loss, but I can't be mad because I still use my Argus. I did say we were going to use crystals, so we're going to do one more summon off crystals real fast here. Okay, yeah, it's a purple. So that we're at 45 now. We will get some clear drops from doing RUBUSKA'S character story, so we just have to try, but hopefully we'll get lucky in the new year here, or before the new year. So we're going to do RUBUSKA'S character story today. This is going to be one half of it, and then the next video will be the other half of it, or the Corvus kit video. Not really sure. One of the two. So I just want to do a stage check here. Oh, they're not numbered. Interesting, so I have to count them. Okay. Usually they're numbered, but they're not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's the normal number. We get clear drops in all of them. Yeah, so we'll go 1 through 4 today. We'll go up to Shadow Theater, and then the next video will be What Was Lost Is Found through By Blood, I Swear. I love the music playing for RUBUSKA. I love the UI and the art. I really think this is really pretty. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And yeah, by the time this video goes up, it will be going up in a more timely manner, but the character story will be over, which works both in the way that it's not really spoiling it for anyone because the character story is gone now, and then also it's still like relevant. Yeah, sure. Also, if you hear jangling, it's because I'm still wearing all my jewelry from the day and I have a jangly bracelet. And I talk with my hands. So that is what's happening. Before we get started though, while this particular video is not sponsored, I am a partnered creator with Reverse 1999 and Blue Epoch and will be receiving compensation for this video. For daughter, let's go, stage 1. Stewardess in training is what we're starting with. And then we'll do like another poll or two. Ooh, the graphics here are fun too. Oh my God. We'll do another poll or two at the very end of this video. But until then, we're just gonna do the story. A train glides across snow-covered plains. So we have snow, it's festive. The dim glow of a town beginning to emerge from the dark horizon ahead. I probably won't try to do voices. I love this set, I do. Corvus! Speaking of Corvus. I also do want to point out, because I'm thinking about it, I'll probably point it out again during the Corvus kit review video, but somebody who actually knows how to knit took a closer look at like Corvus's knitting animations, at the very least, at least in her trailer. In Corvus's trailer, the animation for the knitting is actually extremely accurate, which I think is awesome, especially because if you are not keyed in to the skincare and beauty side of social media, like I'm on the outskirts of it because I used to be really into it, so I still get some of that content pushed to me every now and then. This Korean skincare brand, Laneige, released an AI generated commercial with like AI knitting in it. And I think it's really interesting that Reverse is like at the same time getting like praise for having accurate knitting animations when the Laneige commercial was AI generated and inaccurate. So I kind of love that. I think it's relevant. See, Laneige, it's possible to do it correctly. Anyways, this is not me. This is not going to be me trash talking Laneige, even though I could sit here and trash talk Laneige for at least an hour, I think. That's for another video. We have Corvus here. And while some of the lines usually in character stories are voiced, if you're new here, I generally just read all of them off because to keep some lines voiced in editing is a pain in the butt, so I just read them. But Corvus says to stand straight. Robuska is probably not. A red ball tumbles from her head. Oh, okay, I thought hand. No, it's head. She's balancing it on her head like an apple. Unspooling a long strand of yarn that leads back to the knitting needles in the conductress's hands. That's so funny. Wait, that's cute. Her scared hand. Is it scared or scarred? I think it's scarred. Her scarred hands do not pause their work. Corvus's hands. She says 12 seconds. Again, she's strict. Corvus is strict. I didn't know she was that strict. She's kind of scares me. Wait, why do I want to pull for her now? This is supposed to be the Robuska video. I was so like, I don't need to pull for Corvus, but now I'm like, kind of want to pull for Corvus. It's been like a couple minutes. Robuska says, yarn is round. How can I balance a round thing on my round head for 30 whole seconds? I mean, with the voiced Corvus line said, of course you can. And as somebody who used to have to be a very balanced person, I mean, it's possible, but it sucks. Corvus says, by standing properly, you can at least do better than that. Robuska says, I've been keeping this thing on my head forever. Corvus addresses Robuska. I trust you have more than 12 seconds of self-control in you. I don't know about that. She's so cute. We love her. Corvus says, this isn't to punish you. I'm proving a point. A trained steward's duties are to patrol the cabins, maintain decorum, and provide service. They do not extend to telling stories of vampires, blocking aisles with inane chatter, or hanging upside down from luggage racks. Wait, I love her. That's daughter. Have I hired a stewardess or a bat? Why can't she be both? She puts pointed weight on the word stewardess. Oh, I fat fingered on my mouse wheel again. I expect you to study your handbook thoroughly, and above all else, that you keep your feet on the ground. Pick up the yarn, wind it back. I'll begin the count again. Poor Robuska. She's trying her best. But she says the passengers were all having so much fun. I don't know, as somebody who has like taken the train a lot, I've had like fun train people and I've had like not fun train people. I think it depends on the mood. Like one time I was like a couple times I've been on trains that have like broken down, or like one time I was coming back to Austin and the AC in the train car I was in went out and they didn't let us switch train cars until like 5 hours in, and I was getting off the next stop. So I wasn't in the mood for fun and games that time. But she mutters the words under her breath, nonetheless winds up the yarn before returning the ball to her head. I still don't know how to pronounce this. I used to know, but like I don't remember. The Denyu, I don't think the B is pronounced. The Denyu Dawn churns a flurry of whirling snowflakes that rushed past its windows. You know, for somebody who has to like be done with this like within 2 hours sort of bit, pausing a lot. Passengers doze, some write letters in the dim lamplight, and others fold creases into Christmas wrapping paper. See, it's Christmas themed. I don't know if they rewrote that so it would be Christmas themed for us, but it's Christmas themed. It's festive. I say that because for those of you who don't know, we get the content in reverse 1999 a couple of months after the Chinese server. So the fact that this is actually accurately Christmas themed during Christmas on global is suspicious to me, but I'm not mad about it. The stewardess in training rubs her sore neck as she slips through the cabin, pausing to lift a dropped blanket back onto a sleeping passenger. With a yawn, all memory of her posture training fades as her limbs and back droop into a comfortable tilt. Yeah, I don't think my stewardess needs to be like straight posture and everything. I believe it's Ima. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce her name. Maybe we'll find out. But I think it's so cute that she calls Robuska Ruby, because when I was doing uploading the kit review video, I was like, Robuska. I wonder why they went the full government name. We could have just called her like Ruby or something. That's cute. I love that. I didn't even play this yet. But she says, the conductress let you go so soon. How did it go? It went something. Ima holds an empty kettle. Her concern for the trainee's progress is genuine. Robuska says, it could have been worse. Ima says, did she quiz you on the safety manual? Section 10? But the two stewardesses whisper as they walk side by side down the aisle, mindful not to disturb passengers around them. I love them. They're so cute. Robuska says, tomorrow she's going to have me balance too. The little like knitting the yarn balls. Robuska says it doesn't make any sense. Ima, did she ever make you balance yarn? Ima says, huh? No, never. But I have helped the conductress wind her yarn when she's busy. No matter how late work runs, she always finds time to knit. I think that's cute. I love when reverse, or just like video game characters in general, have like a hobby or something. It just makes it feel so much more immersive. I think it's cute. The young stewardess drops her gaze as if caught in a peaceful memory. Robuska says, why is she always knitting anyway? Don't tell me. She's planning to make the whole train a scarf. Her companion can't help but giggle. Ima says she has much to handle in a day. The Danube Dawn wouldn't be able to run without her. She once told me knitting gave her a chance to wind her thought. Well, I guess you're winding something. Whether it's yarn or thoughts is debatable. I can't knit. Maybe I should say that. Robuska says, I'd say she's thinking about far too many things. She looks around at the room full of knitted pieces, where even the tiniest ornaments on the table are dressed in finely stitched covers. Wait, I'm also noticing back here. Back here, the little nesting dolls have little sweaters on. That's really cute in the chair. Oh, if you look in the background, there's all these little, the curtains here are knitted. That's so cute. Oh my God. I think these butterflies are also supposed to be knitted. There's so many little details. I kind of love it. Robuska says, no more hanging upside down in the cabins. I never want to balance another ball again. She's always so busy. You'd think she wouldn't find time to correct all of my little mistakes. You'd be surprised. She's got eyes in the back of her head. Robuska reaches her desk and pulls out a stack of letter paper. One hand rummages for the lamp as she bites down on the cap of her pen and twists it off. Just thinking about biting down on the pen cap or like plastic is hurting my mouth. Ima says, is she making you copy out the safety manual again? And Robuska says, no, or, well, that can wait. Okay, so she's supposed to be copying out of the safety manual, but she's like, not right now, I'm not doing that right now. I'm writing to Annabelle and the others. I'm going to drop it in the post box at the next station. I hope it will reach them in time. I'm assuming it's in time for Christmas or something like that. Ima says, as long as you post it before noon, it should reach Budapest in 5 days. The young stewardess, ever quick with calculations, does the math in an instant. Robuska says, great! I promised Annabelle my letter would reach her before Christmas Eve. Last time I told her the story of Arnold I think that's 6. Arnold the 6th. Of course, it's a number that's really hard to pronounce. Letters were dropped into the station post boxes, and later replies came fluttering back from Budapest. Without realizing it, she had already told the stories of Arnold the Vampire 1 through 6. Allegedly, because I don't know if that's 6, but I'm gonna assume it is. Ima says, well, then the next story must be about Arnold the Sixth's descendant, Robuska the First. Oh, that's her! That's her song! Robuska says, eh? Robuska the First? Ima says, what's wrong? And Robuska says, no, nothing. Right. Next comes the story of Robuska the First. Her pen trembles, a drip of ink swivels over the page, but the writer reacts fast enough to keep it off her clean white paper. The story seems to be stuck like dry ink in her pen until, at last, she forces it to flow. She says, right then, time to tell of the greatest vampire of this century, Arnold the Sixth's descendant, Robuska the First. Dear Annabelle, she writes, Robuska the First was born into a mighty vampire clan, a life of plenty, joy, and laughter. So I'm gonna assume then that the rest of the story is going to go on, and basically we're gonna get the fictional story of Robuska the First, the vampire in the letter, overlapped with Robuska's actual character story, which I think is a really cute way to do her character story as well. But the letter says, fate tested her early, for her strength showed itself too soon. Hey, don't worry. Every vampire must face trials in their life. Cute. Oh, we have another little scene. Oh, so Robuska's mother, I don't know if this is like a fictional mother or her real mother, says, my beloved Count Arnold the Bloodthirsty, might I invite you to join us for supper. We intend to find a scrumptious human feast. And Robuska's father, same deal here, says, why, it would be my honor. We vampires have crept in the shadows of this new world for too long, and I can already smell their fear. All right, well, okay, they are vampires. Robuska's mother says, oh, look who else has joined our table. Our most infamous young vampire, Robuska. So this is, okay, I thought this was before Robuska times. Robuska's father says, and this one too, another shadow to linger in the night, Kolyo. I think that's how you say that. A most promising vampire indeed. Robuska's mother says, what a splendid age for our kind. The smiling mother sets plates on a table covered by a worn cloth. On them, a spoonful of beans, sauerkraut, and chunks of boiled potato. Oh, I thought Kolio was like a lot older, but no, Kolio's a baby. It says wow. And then we have baby Robuska. So there might actually be some truth to this one. I'm not sure yet. Young Robuska sighs and says, "My lady, might I request something other than these beans?" Because she doesn't like beans. Robuska's mother says, "Why, my darling Buska, do you mean that you don't care for these delicious tiny human livers?" What do you mean by that? Wait, are they not actually beans? Oh my god. She says they're good for a growing vampire. Besides, a shadow slithers up the table's edge, forming the shape of a rabbit, then a cat, a dog, a macaw. The shadows come alive, circling Robuska's plate, pecking at the damp, gray-yellow beans. They keep like talking mid-sentence. Robuska's mother says, "See how the shadows love them? Feast, Buska. It would be impolite to refuse such a bountiful gift." Robuska's father says, "Indeed. Lady Robuska, I know you must long for the days when we lounged in the finest silks and supped on only the most tender cuts of flesh." Well, those are some words. But to be strong, a vampire must have a rich diet, including these tiny livers. They're beans. Robuska eventually agrees. And her mother says, "Much better, my darling. We must sup on more than blood alone to sustain an immortal life." Well, we're learning the vampire rules of this little Robuska universe, and it's that they can have food, and they should be having food as well as human blood. So there's the vampire rules. Every universe with vampires in it is gonna have vampire rules, and I'm happy we're getting some of them. Robuska's father says, "Savor all of life's many colors and wonders." And her mother says to eat well. The glow of her arcane skill fades, and the small shadows sink back into the threadbare tablecloth. So Robuska's mother is also an arcanist who can control shadows, essentially. Robuska's eyes flit over her mother's hand, resting on her worn gold ring, then to the plate before her. Once the finest china, now chipped and cracked. The roof leaks, the table creaks, and in the corner lies the cramped and sagging bed they share. Yet it seems to mean nothing when she returns to the cheerful smiles of her parents. Her home is smaller now, but it is still home. I guess it's wholesome. So we have a little bit of a time skip, and Robuska's mother says, "In the still night, Arnold V prowls his lands." I guess telling the story of Arnold V before we got the 6th. The beasts awake from their slumber, sniffing his outstretched hand, knowing his strength and his justice. Tiny shadows flicker again in the worn gray corner, black silhouettes of animals hopping merrily through the dim room. So again, with the arcane skill. They leap and call from the dusk to the breaking of daylight, and Arnold roams with them, bringing peace to all beneath. Okay, so the children watch a shadow theater performance as they huddle together beneath the covers, lulled to sleep by their mother's gentle voice. I now need to speed read. Unless, can I get it here? Oh yeah, that's just the animals doing little shadow puppets. Oh, that's a gunshot. The sweet weight of sleep is ripped from them by the hammer of gunfire. That can't be good. Young Robuska says it's starting again. What? Okay. Oh god. All right, here comes the trauma. Robuska's mother says we must stay quiet. And baby Robuska says, will they leave? Her voice is nearly a whisper tinted with fear. The gunfire erupts again, closer now, so close it seems ready to pierce the walls of their tiny sanctum. Even that whisper is enough for her mother to clamp a hand on her mouth. The enemy has occupied their town. I don't know when this is supposed to be taking place and how true it is, so I'm a little bit scared right now. Robuska's mother says, sleep now, and the hammering continues, never frequent enough to become a rhythm, never rare enough to settle. She presses her hand over her daughter's eyes, her wavering voice whispering a promise neither believes. Her mother says it will be over soon, very soon. And none of them believe it. Awesome. It's to be continued. That's just awesome. That's so great. We move to bitter beans. All right. Stage 2, Fate's Bitter Beans. Let's go. If we can finish this in the next 10 minutes, we'll be back on track time-wise. Which part 1 usually takes a little bit longer. Back in the current times then, Robuska writes, the end would come sooner than we thought. Count Arnold VI and the Countess. I was thinking that the father was Arnold number 6. But for now, they have fallen asleep. Does that mean they're dead? God, I hope not. I think this is a version of Robuska's actual lore and upbringing, but as if they were vampires instead of just being non-vampires. I don't know though. I don't think Robuska's a vampire. I think she's pretending to be a vampire. I think that was the bit. So I think this is just Robuska's actual lore, but they're vampires instead, but it's the same story. And she's acting like it's not, but it's the same story. Robuska, young Robuska, baby vampire Robuska, asks where Dad is and says it's already dark. Why hasn't he come home? Did he get lost in the forest? I hope not. Imagine the great Count Arnold lost in his own twilight realm. Oh dear God. Her mother sets down 3 plates as the girl giggles to herself, each with a meager pile of livers, quotations, that have gone from yellow to gray. Kolio is chanting about the shadows. Oh, the mom's arcane skill with the shadows. Okay, that's it. Which I think Robuska also does in her arcane skill because it's part of her ultimate animation. She has the little like shadow creatures. So that does make sense. Anyways, Robuska's mother just says to eat dinner. Her voice is thin and rasps with each word. No shadows come out to play. A sudden, violent pounding rattles the door, and that scared even me. Yeah, I feel that, Robuska. Her hand shoots out to cover the boy's mouth, muffling his frightened whimper. Robuska's mother says, quick, take your brother and hide. Not a sound. Don't you dare make a sound. This is scaring even me. I can't cry, all right? I have to be places later. The words come out as a sharp breath. Her face twists with terror. The pounding at the door grows louder. Robuska says for her brother to be quiet. The brother is still crying, and Robuska says to come with her. The woman's steps are soft and shaky as she moves toward the door. Robuska throws open their small wardrobe and tucks her little brother inside. She says, not a sound, Kolio, not a single sound. Kolio is probably crying. Yeah, his eyes brim with tears as he is shut inside the cramped darkness. There is no time for her to find a place of her own, so she crawls beneath the sagging bed. God, this is scaring you. This is still scaring me. The door gives way with a crack. Wind, the stench of gunpowder, and the smell of blood pour into the one-room house. Robuska's mother doesn't say anything, and a garrison officer says, Night Patrol, who is in this house? Robuska's mother lies and says, just me. Garrison soldier, number 1, says, is anyone from the militia hiding here? Answer honestly. It's just her and the kids, maybe the father, but he's not there at the moment, so... Robuska's mother says, I don't know anyone in the militia. Please, you're looking in the wrong place. Oh, something got hit. What just happened? From under the sofa, the girl hears her mother scream. Okay, awesome. Oh God. She clamps her shaking hand tightly over her mouth. That's what got hit. Okay, I thought it was the lamp. The screaming stops. Heavy boots storm into their home. Objects smash on the floor. Doors and cabinets fly open. It seems like baby Robuska might be crying underneath the bed couch thing, and I don't blame her. Oh God. A strange face appears at the edge of the bed, and Robuska chokes. Yet in the dark, wedged beneath the sagging mattress, she manages to avoid notice. 2 children, frail from hunger, squeeze into impossibly tight spaces, escape their search, and by that, escape capture. The garrison officer says nothing, and someone, I gotta censor it, I don't want to get demonetized, which, you know, we're really towing a line of demonetization here anyways, but anyways, guy got away, so they were probably looking for the father, but he was already out. Garrison soldier number 1 says, damn it, I'm happy that their search was thwarted because these guys suck. This is cruel and unusual punishment, and they didn't even do anything. The footsteps draw close to the door, yet before it closes, a small sound cuts out from the little wardrobe. Oh my God. The brother was crying, and he hiccuped accidentally. Kolio has never once complained about his beans. That good behavior may now spell his doom. Oh, maybe was he hiccuping because of the beans? Maybe. The garrison officer says, what was that? And the soldier, number 1, says there's someone else in here. Because they might find Robuska now too, that's the thing. Which I don't know what, the thing is I don't know I don't know what time period this is taking place in, so I don't know why they're like searching the home like this. I have thoughts on what, and just based on other historical reasoning for things like this. I'm very scared for what's about to happen. Boots rush back inside, closing in on the source. The small wardrobe is flung open. Kolio screams, calls out for the mom, and the officer says, a child. The soldier says, his son. No doubt about it. Take him. Okay, well, yeah, don't do that. Kolio is thrown to the floor. Also, why are you throwing a child to the floor? That's messed up. Even if you want this kid as collateral or something, that is a child. You're abusing a child. Robuska sees it all, though, paralyzed with terror. Cries out for her family. The door slams shut. Like, I don't care what your reasoning is. I don't think it's valid sound reasoning to be, like, robbing and ransacking this home for one man. I don't care what your reasoning is. It's cruel and unusual, especially involving children. You know, like, I don't care what your reasoning is. None of it is good for what you're doing right now. None of it is valid reasoning. Just because you were ordered to do something like this doesn't make it valid either. You know, like, even if they're just quote unquote following orders, that this is still cruel and unusual. What are you doing? You know, like, no reason you could give for something like this is a valid reason. The militia launches a final desperate effort against the occupiers. Disorganized and underprepared, their attempt at liberation turns into a final massacre. Robuska staggers over once familiar fields toward an outcropping, avoiding bodies that stare up at her with vacant eyes. There's the trauma. There is the trauma. What do I always say? It's reverse 1999. Everyone's traumatized. But this is until, in the distance, she spots them. Her parents kneeling together before a line of men holding rifles. So they did find the father eventually. Robuska calls out for both of her parents. Her parents are cognizant and are, like, calling to her. But a soldier forces her mother back to the ground. She runs faster toward them. Robuska's mother is calling for her again, but now telling her to run, which makes sense. Oh, she says, I don't want to, and I think the mother has been killed. Her mother's eyes are two black pits. Muscles twist across her face, an image of dark horror robbing every trace of warmth from her face. They did repeat that line. I'm not gonna be grammar police today. She freezes in her step. She wants more than anything to run toward her parents. She doesn't want to listen, yet her body does what her mind cannot. She feels herself stumble back, adrenaline surging through her veins as she turns and runs. Bullets pepper the ground around her, throwing up clouds of dust, followed by another deafening blast. I'm gonna assume we're still in World War I times, because Necrologist's anecdote also takes place during World War I, or like right after, so I'm gonna assume that's where we're at. I don't think we've hightailed it all the way to World War II yet, so Robuska's crying, which is very valid. I think her entire family was just murdered, essentially, for, again, no good reason. And there never is a good reason for murder, actually. Fun fact, that's not fun at all. Robuska says, what should I do? The town is burning. Smoke rises into the sky and rain comes down. That would be a storm, actually. The thunder of war drowning out her thoughts and the screams of the dying. I wonder if it's like actual, like, just rain or like storm rain, you know? Because I'm still working on doing the main story, and in the main story, I'm pretty sure anytime it rains, at least for like the first 5-6 chapters, anytime it rains, that is storm rain. Like, it's the storm, it's not good, people are gonna start dying, like, you know, like, that's it. But I'm unsure if in this time period, rain is, oh wait, it's coming from the sky, so I think we're good. We're okay. Anyways, Robuska searches desperately for her brother, only to come upon a scene of horror. Oh, they broke his legs. Again, any reason you can come up with for doing this is not a valid reason. Nothing. There's no valid reason for this. Robuska says, it's fine, I'll carry you. We'll find mom and dad together. Kolio says, everything hurts. And Robuska tells him, we'll go home, just don't fall asleep. Please talk to me. Yeah, she pulls him onto her back and carries him across the blood-soaked ground. Unsure of where she's going, hoping vainly to find sanctuary. Her brother moans with every step at first, until he falls limp and quiet. She awakens in a jolt, unsure of whether from sleep or a daze, unsure even of the passage of time. The night passes as she struggles toward home. Her legs are bruised and sore, and her brother has fallen silent. She's crying again. She's crying for her parents. Also, I did pronounce Kolio's name right, which is unfortunate because I don't think he's gonna stick around for much longer. Robuska tells Kolio to wake up. No more beans tonight, she says. We'll have some nice warm potatoes instead. The air is choked with ash. She studies the bodies lying in the filthy street, one by one, searching their faces, caught between hoping to recognize them and fearing she will. She returns to the field. An old man lifts bodies onto a wooden pushcart, closing their eyes as he does. A childish thought comforts her. They're only sleeping, she says. They're only sleeping. She says, let me set you down first, Kolio. I'll have to find mom and dad. What would mom say if she saw you lying about like this? There is no time for sleeping. And the corpse collector says he's already dead. Yeah. Robuska says, 1 second, Grandpa. What's that, Kolio? Yes, of course. I'll put you down here. Oh, God. This girl is traumatized. I don't want to start playing Trauma Olympics, but, like, this one's rough, right? His body slumps off of her like a stone. Robuska says, now be good, little brother. I'll be back in just a moment. Her voice cuts off as her eyes catch on something in the old man's cart. Her parents lie there, side by side, eyes closed. The corpse collector notices and asks if it's her parents, and Robuska says that yeah, that's exactly who they are. The collector apologizes. I don't think Robuska's processed it yet, though, because she asks, what? Why are you sorry? The words come out blank, without a tinge of emotion. That's the trauma. The collector says they're dead. A simple mistake for a human, of course. Those ashen faces and their still, unbreathing bodies. Oh, and the fact that it's the same story, but with them being vampires. Because if they were vampires, they would have survived. Oh my god. Robuska says they're not dead. They're just asleep. A chill runs through her as blood drains from her face. Bloodless lips tremble as she bites her tongue. She kneels, letting her hands brush over each of their cold faces, straightening their hair and their torn clothes. She says it will be all right. Just sleep for now. And the rain starts again. God. Listen, Reverse knows how to do a gut punch. They truly, truly do. But oh my god. Like, again, don't want to start playing the Trauma Olympics and start ranking the trauma of Reverse 1999 characters. But I think also the age of Robuska when this happened is also playing into the fact that this is just so rough. And like, not rough as in like the story's bad or anything. I think a gut punch of a story can be done very well. I think Reverse is doing it very well in how they're handling it. But oh my god. I shouldn't have done this. Shouldn't have done this on New Year's Eve because I have to be places later and my eyes are gonna be like red. All right, let's move straight on to stage 3, Dancing with Darkness. I don't know if we're gonna finish 4 in this video. I would like to try to, but we might have to do 4 through 8 in the next video. But we will do Dancing with Darkness at the very least. Oh my god, now I have hiccups. Probably from the crying. I'm right there with Kolyo. All right, part 3. I do think the idea of Robuska telling her story and like her lore, but also making it like, oh, but everything's the same, but they're vampires, I think is a very good, I want to say cute, it's a very cute way to do it, but it's a very sad story. So it's like, I feel bad calling it cute, but I think it's clever. I think it's a good idea. Especially because when you look at it, I don't know if this is the intended outcome of the choice to make them vampires, but like the idea of, oh, if they were vampires, they would have lived. And that's how she's coping with trauma is just insane. Like, that's insane. The cart creaks under its heavy load as it wheels toward a white. There's no space left on the cemetery grounds. Yeah, yep, that is a corpse pit. Robuska says, Dad, you can sleep here. Mom on the right, and Kolyo, I know you'd choose the middle. Her small hands clutch a rough branch, digging out a shallow spot in the pit. She can't make it much bigger, but it's enough, just like their old cramped bed in their shabby old home. But as she lays them down, it feels different. There's no warmth in this bed. Rubuska says, it's all right. Tonight I'll blow out the candle for you. Dirt falls over their faces, and she dutifully wipes it off, her cracked hands not numb enough to deny the coldness. Rubuska says, oh, you're freezing. We should have laid the quilts to dry in the sun. You always say everyone deserves a warm bed, even vampires. Now, wait, I know what to do. She curls her arms into a cradle, gathering layers and layers of fallen leaves and twigs, anything she can use to cover them, until she can't see their wounds. It isn't a warm quilt, but now at least, they seem peaceful, and the girl nods with satisfaction. God, the fact that it hasn't like hit yet, that they're gone, is just, I'm so scared for that shoe to drop, right? First of all, Rubuska says, not cold anymore, right? She says, I should sleep too. Can I be in the middle with Kolyo? God. She lies down in the pit, nestling herself into the space between their bodies, remembering the snowy nights where they were huddled together, safe and warm. Mom would tell her stories in her soft, sweet voice until they drifted off. The night deepens, the girl closes her eyes with a smile. God. This is... Because if it is like a corpse pit, oh, she's dreaming. So Dream Kolyo says the birds are pecking at our crops. This face. Buska says, we'll see about that. Get him, Buska! The girl skips forward, then breaks into a dash over the field, startling a flock of birds. She says, stay away, or I'll deal with you myself. The flock lingers overhead as the child below waves her small fist. Kolyo says, maybe the birds are just hungry. Hunger is a feeling these children know well. They've grown up in the midst of war. Yeah, so I'm gonna assume we're still in World War I then. Robuska says, but we can't let them eat. They'll leave nothing for us. Maybe once the harvest comes, we can share, but not now. Go on, she says. Stay away from our crops. Flock splits into smaller squadrons, diving back to the field. The children run hard, screaming and yelling to drive them away. Rubuska says, Kolyo, swing your arms, don't be afraid. And Kolyo says, they're pecking me. Oh. Rubuska says, I'll help you. Go away. Stop eating. Rubuska scrambles to protect her brother and says, if only there were 4 of me. 4 of me? That's it. What do you mean by that? Oh, she pulls out her flute and blows a note. Shadows rise up from the ground. Okay, so she can also, her arcane skill is also related to the shadows, but whereas her mom can just kind of like make them appear, Robuska uses the music and the flute to make them appear, which I think is really cute. I'm just gonna assume that maybe the dad, his arcane skill is something to do with music, and so the two combined to Robuska's arcane skill. I'm gonna assume that. I think that's cute. Anyways, Robuska says, "Don't be afraid, I'm here to help." Kolyo laughs and says, "Your shadow is so tall." There's a Robuska and a dad and a mom and even another Kolyo. Okay, so it's like shadows effort. Oh, no, wait. I don't remember what the shadows in her ultimate animation look like, but if it's like her parents and family, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be so upset. Robuska laughs and says, "I can't make that many. Darn you birds, even pecking at shadows." Oh. A sharp, acrid stench jolts her awake. Those would be the decaying bodies. We can't have a moment of peace in this game. Robuska is awake and crying, which would make sense. I think it's probably finally starting to hit her. She says it was just a dream. Her stomach gnaws with hunger as she adjusts her eyes to the light of day, only to be confronted by a carrion bird perched on the ridge of the pit, pecking at her family. Robuska screams and says, "No, away!" She keeps telling them to go away. She screams, flailing her trembling arms at the bird. But the bird fights back, beating its wings and stabbing at her with its sharp beak. Robuska says, "Ouch!" Continues to say no. Staggering to her feet then, she seizes a stone and hurls it at the bird, starting to throw rocks. She says, "Don't hurt my mom. Don't you ever do that again. Go away." The bird dodges the stones and veers away, circling high above the cemetery. Robuska stands frozen in place, stunned. Reality presses in, inescapable. She's so young. That's the worst part. She is so young. Like, to lose your entire family is going to hurt at any age, but she's still baby. Again, there is no explanation for this that is valid. You are a sick, twisted person in every single explanation. Robuska says, "Please don't leave me alone," and continues to cry, essentially, because she's been crying. The corpse collector is still here. He says, "You need to bury them." The old man lowers his cart, another pile of dead taller than the last. The old man is hunched over, having exhausted his fading strength. Robuska asks, "Bury?" I don't think she knows what that even is, maybe. Or like what you're supposed to do when someone dies. Because again, she is a child. She's a child when we meet her, but here she's like the baby. The corpse collector says, "Yes, their bodies have already begun to..." Yeah, doesn't get to finish. Robuska says, "They're just sleeping." Nope, they're not. Okay. She tries again desperately to plead for her family, not wanting to hear that awful word again. The corpse collector says, "You poor thing. I know it's hard to admit it. They'll never open their eyes again. It's the same for all these others." Robuska says, "No, they're not the same. They're different," because she thinks they're vampires, or at least in this version of the story. She leaps up to protest, but her weakness pulls her back to the ground. Yeah, so I don't particularly know if, like, maybe as a kid she's like thought she was a vampire, and so she's like playing into it, and the vampire thing is actually an active part of the story, or she's retelling it as if she was a vampire. You know, like, I'm not sure which one it is, but it's something. Robuska says, "We're vampires. We can't die." I will also note here, I think, aren't Robuska's eyes supposed to be red? Or am I making that up? I don't remember. So maybe she does actually become a vampire? I don't know what's going on. But she says, "I can prove it." The girl pulls a flute from her pocket, fingers trembling as she blows the first note. Which I will mention, I believe early on in the story there is a line from somewhere about how within history and throughout history, the various creatures of like magic and fantasy they've had different names for Arcanists, but they've all been Arcanists, at least in like the reverse 1999 lore. So hypothetically, if Robuska is thinking her and her family are vampires when they're really just Arcanists, that actually makes total sense in the lore of reverse 1999. I'm pretty sure I saw that earlier on in the story. So it makes sense, actually, that this part of history, this timeline, she thought they were vampires, but they're really just Arcanists. And it was early on before they really had like a name or anything for that. And so the mom was just like, "Yeah, we're vampires. Cool, whatever." Because they didn't know what an Arcanist was. Following Robuska's wavering melody, a shadow slides down to the pit, then rises up from their cold bodies, taking on 3 familiar forms. Robuska's mother, but the shadow version, says, "Buska, my darling, why do you look so afraid? So sad." Robuska's shadow father says, "Lady Robuska, do you not know this isn't eternal sleep, but only a trial?" Robuska's shadow mother says, "Of course. A vampire's strength must be tested. My child, we need you. Shadow Father says, you need to rouse us from our slumber, to rouse us from this darkness. And Shadow Kolyo says, free us. Great. Don't let these birds peck at us anymore. Shadow Mother says, my lovely girl, Mom loves you most of all. I'm not gonna cry. I have places to be later. Shadow Father says, you must not forget us. Robuska says, I promise I won't. I'll never leave your side. Those birds will never dare touch you again. She swears each promise in turn, but before her words are even finished, the shadows scatter, melting away. I don't know if the words from the shadows are from her imagination. These were like the last wishes of her family members, and so when their shadows came up from their bodies, they got to say those last words. Or if she's like hallucinating the last words, I can't really tell. Because again, if she's the one telling the story, it's not that she's an unreliable narrator, because I really do believe Robuska is reliable, but she's telling the story. She is embellishing it for this letter that she's sending to, was it Annabeth or Annabelle? I don't remember. Anna, and then something with a B. She's embellishing a little bit for the letter, but then also she's telling the story of what she remembers from being like, maybe like 8 or 9 years old. You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell you remember everything from like 8, 9 years. Like, seriously. Even if when we meet her, she is maybe like 13 or something. It's not that much later on, but like 8 or 9 is like a generous estimate. She's probably even younger than that. So yeah, she's not an unreliable narrator, but like, she's a kid. Robuska says, see, they can't be dead. They can speak. They're here. Death can never touch us. Never. She promises them that I'll find a way to wake you. Oh, I don't know. I still don't know what parts are correct or not. I think she's coping with trauma in her own way. The corpse collector sighs and says, child, if thinking this way helps you bear it. Yeah, everyone copes in their own way. He looks down at the poor Arcanist child who has lost her entire family. So I'm gonna assume that maybe some people know who Arcanists are. Maybe even the family members, like the mom and the dad, knew about Arcanists, but didn't know how to explain it to the kid. So they just said, yeah, we're vampires. Sure, cool, whatever. There's no point in trying to comfort her. He just takes up his cart again and trudges away under the weight. God. Oh, God. This is really rough. Now, it hasn't been an hour yet, so we could do Shadow Theater by my own rules, but also we could do some polls, because it's been 56, 57 minutes now of recording, so we probably should try. We'll just do Shadow Theater next time. We can't do a poll. Never mind, we're gonna do Shadow Theater. Like, well, that tears it. Shadow Theater it is. We will do stage 4 in this video. Let's go. Water break. Okay. In the next video, we'll do the last of them. Hopefully stage 4 is a little bit shorter though. And we're back in the current day, or at least the current day of the story timeline. And so Robuska says, the great Robuska discovered a way to speak with her kin, vampires enduring their trials in the darkness through shadows. But this was only the beginning of her own challenge. Once again, she called on her uncanny wit, searching, sensing, until at last she found a way to deliver them from the dark. So you have a narrator segment. This, technically we probably should have cut at the last one, just because it would have made sense in like, because this is like a different segment now, but we've now reached Act 2 of Robuska's little play. An orphaned child says, I won't run off again. Please wake up, to her own mother. Another orphaned child says, Grandpa, they burned down the house. There's nothing left. And sister's gone too. Now it's just me. Grandpa, what should I do? The cemetery fills with more and more bodies, packed tightly together. Soon the dead outnumber the living. Morning floods in over morning. A mourning father cries for his son. He says, I'll avenge you, I swear it. The grieving mother tells her child to sleep. Go to that place where there's no pain, where tears will never fall again. I'm not so sure about that. I'm about to cry. And back to young Robuska. She says, Dad, how did you lose your way in the forest? And how did you get out again? We waited for you for 5 whole days. I must say, holding a feast without the great Count Arnold was most dreary. Yes, I know. The venerable vampire count, lost in the woods. Not the most dignified tale to spread, is it? In the corner of the cemetery, her voice takes on a light, playful lilt as she speaks to the shadows. She says, now, you live in the shadows. That means we'll never be apart again. Kolyo, you want your shadow to be taller? She lifts her flute, and as the melody strings together, her, in quotations, Kolyo stretches up taller and taller. She says, all right. I know you'll grow up big and strong, just like this. She continues to grow his shadow until Shadow Kolyo takes on the form of a young man. She can't help but giggle. God, the music. She says, is this what our Kolya would look like all grown up? She lies down in between her family's bodies, whispering softly to their shadows. Yet, one shadow stays silent. It is small, curled up in the corner, with long hair falling over it. She chooses a clear day to cut away her long hair. So that's her own shadow. Interesting. So this was a spoken line, but I'm not sure who it's from. It could be Robuska? But it says, in the light of the blood moon, they rise and stride under the veil of night. This part is actually fully voiced. Continues, freely they live without fear of death. For through blood, they live forevermore. And I do think this is Robuska, actually. The shadow speaks in a childlike tone, retelling the words of their bedtime story for what feels like the 1000th time. The girl mimics her younger self, imagining the warm bed, the patterned plates slick with gravy, and the candle blown out at the story's end. Young Robuska, now in quotation, so this is the shadow version of Robuska, says your souls will never fade. Not until the end of the story, and even long after the story has ended. Oh, God. Robuska repeats, long after the story has ended. That's right, she says. As long as your souls are here, we'll always be together. I swear I'll never let anything harm you again. She is so traumatized. After driving the birds away, she gathers rainwater and berries, arranging a little feast for her family. She eats only her portion despite her growing hunger and lies back waiting for sleep to overtake her. God, someone please help her. I know everyone in this cemetery is grieving for their own loved ones, but like, please, somebody just like take her in. The mourning father says, wait, this one's still alive. There's a girl sleeping here. Okay, so somebody has noticed Robuska alive now. The grieving mother says, my God, poor thing. Yeah, the firelight breaks a patch of the night. The sleeping girl stirs awake at their voices, sitting up warily. I'm gonna assume that these other grieving parents have taken Robuska in, like they picked up her while she was asleep and took her to like their own fire or something. So she's gonna freak out because her parents aren't there. Robuska asks, what do you want? She sits covered in mud and dirt, hugging her knees, cheeks sunken, eyes like black hollows. The mourning father says, I think it's time you said goodbye to your family, just as we must too. The grieving mother says, pray for them, won't you? Pray their souls have already found peace. The torchlight wavers over their closed eyes. Their bodies are still and rotted, but she cannot accept plain truth. Robuska says, you're wrong. Their souls are right here. God. The woman's voice is calm and nurturing, yet Robuska pierces the night with a sharp note. As a familiar, desperate melody follows, the black shadows rise against the night. In the glow of the flames, the outlines sharpen, like living figures standing over their lifeless forms. Ugh, God. I swear. Oh, hello, we have minigame. Restore the shadows of your loved. God, this is so messed up. Okay, so we have to call upon the memory of your loved ones and trace the shape of their presence. So it's connect the dots, which I think doing a very simple minigame for Robuska as she is a child, remind you, makes a lot of sense. I think, yeah, the minigame makes sense. I always say when we have a very gut-wrenching character story like this that any sort of minigame kind of throws me off a little bit because like the dissonance there, like the switch up is insane, but they keep putting minigames in. So we need to connect memory points to reconstruct their shadows. You can recall their silhouettes from the depths of memory, but doing so will interrupt your arcane skill. So it's connect the dots. It can't be that bad. And we kind of know what we're connecting here. It's a guy. So that's our father's shadow, or Robuska's father's shadow. And now we have to restore the mother's shadow as so. This one's pretty easy. There's the mother's shadow, and then we have Kolyo. So we get to see it first. I'm assuming they'll get harder as we go on, but there's not that many stages, so it probably won't get that much harder. I think it's cute. It breaks it up a little bit. Robuska's shadow mother says, my dearest girl, why do you look so afraid? Has someone disturbed our rest? Shadow father says, don't be afraid. We can take care of things now. No one will harm you. And Kolyo says, I'm not scared of the dark anymore because now we live in it. Okay. Kolyo waves his little shadow hand, curious and playful. Robuska says, no one disturbed me. I just wanted to tell them your souls are still here. Well, that's the thing. Even if their souls are still there, their bodies aren't. And at that point, you have to move on. I mean, if the body's cold, even if their souls are still there, we gotta go find a necrologist or something to get to free their souls. Someone can do it. I don't know who, but those who lost loved ones stand in silence, unable to comprehend the scene before them. Robuska's shadow mother says, oh, of course, my dear. The souls of vampires are eternal and undying. The soul is still there, but the body isn't. At that point, I think it's still considered death if the body is no longer up and moving, you know? They're ghosts at this point. Oh. Rubuska's mother says, I may have embellished some of my stories, but that part is beyond doubt. Rubuska's father says, that's why loneliness can never touch a vampire, my child. And if you ever feel sad, we can always meet in this way. Here in the place where shadow meets the light. So again, I don't know if this is like, the shadows are actually there. Everyone can see them. This is like really what happened. Whether it's embellishment, whether Rubuska is like imagining it to cope, I'm not really sure. Again, she is a child, so you can't really tell. We might find out by the end of the character story, but I'm not entirely sure. Collio says, even if we can't hug anymore or keep warm together, we can still watch Shadow Theater and play hide and seek. Rubuska agrees and says, you're still here with me. You never left. Okay, so the grieving mother, essentially, I can see them. So I don't know where this is going. I'm maybe leaning more towards, it's not the third option of she's imagining it to cope. It could still be embellishment of the story, or this is actually happening. The grieving mother says, do these souls really, truly remain? The three bodies have begun to lose their features to rot and exposure, yet the shadows she conjures feel vivid, alive. But they do not speak, not really. She only shapes their voices with her own, mimicking their tones as if all three souls were speaking from within her. Okay, so I think we have found a secret fourth option, which is a mix of like either options 1 and 2 with 3, maybe? Rubuska says, we are a vampire family, you see. They just temporarily stepped into the night, but our souls can never be parted. God, if she's a child, if it gets her through the day, so be it, but like someone's got to tell her eventually, right? Pale and dizzy with hunger, she still speaks with total conviction. Oh, the grieving mother says, then could you help me? Could you bring my child back? Let me see her again. Oh my Milena, I just want to see her one more time. She was gone before I could say a single word. She buries her face in her hands, weeping. And the mourning father says, my Penka. His body wasn't even whole when he died. Who could do such a thing to a boy? He was only 7. See, that's what I'm saying. Any explanation, I'll say it again, any explanation you can come up with for this is not valid. You're a sick, twisted person for doing it. I don't care what your excuse is. Just following orders is also not an excuse. The mourning father says, please, let me speak with him just once more. See, now we're all gonna be going through trauma, and it's gonna mess with all of our heads. The orphaned child says, please, I want my mom to come back. And the other orphan child, the boy, says if only grandpa were still here. Their pleading eyes weigh heavy on the girl, pressing down like a tide. She is their last hope. They do not ask for eternal life, just one final moment, one last meeting. Rubuska's mother says, my child, you should help them. There's been so much loss here. I believe you can do it. You've already found a way to reach us again. Rubuska's father says, this is why vampires are strong. We are united, and in that, we are eternal. Rubuska says, you're right. And at last, faint smiles and hope return to their pale faces. Before them, the girl stands as a symbol of salvation. Ugh, God. That's our to be continued. It makes sense. It's interesting. I would be very interested for Rubuska and Necrologist to meet. I feel like their stories have some overlap and their arcane skills have some overlap, which I think is really interesting. And especially to throw them down into the aftermath. Because this, if 3.0 is like the World War I arc, this is like the aftermath of it. We're getting a flashback to Rubuska's time as a child during the war. So that's not totally the aftermath, but like character stories usually do explore the lore of a character and their backstories a lot. So that makes sense that this would backstory then into World War I. Oh God, I still can't do another poll. Let's see. Oh wait, War Room. I have War Room stuff. Hold on. This might give it somewhere. Hold on. I don't know where I'm at with the War Room. I always think we're gonna get more polls from a character story and then we don't. Everyone hold your breath. What do we got in our search for scrolls? Dust. Literal dust. Peanuts, if you will. What are we trying to get to? 48? Is that it? Is that like the big one? Yeah? I still have 2 more in the 3.0 message, so gotta figure that out. Oh my God. This is so rough. I have 12 hours to get Rubuska to come home, but like barely. All right, we're gonna be done with the video. We'll end here. We'll start with what was lost is found next time, but that was part 1 of A Shadow's Wait. It was so rough. Oh my God. I don't want to talk about it. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, because that's the thing, right? The story itself, I don't want to feel like calling it a good story feels wrong, but the story is done well for such a horrible topic, you know? But if you like this video, make sure to give me a like down below, as well as subscribe for more and hit the little notification bell to be notified when I upload new ones. As always, I hope everyone out there is having a super lovely day wherever you are in the world. Happy New Year! We got a tone shift here. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys!